Spencer Galloway was a very special friend. We've done tons and tons of things together. He was really easy to be friends with. We had all the same interests. I mean, football was one of the big ones. Florida State University was huge with him. I actually think that one of the first real things that we got to go do together was a Florida State football game after I moved to Florida with him. It was a blackout game. He took me in there and was so excited all day, telling me how big the stadium was, and how, everything he could tell me in just a little bit of time, that he didn't want me to miss anything. He would pinpoint out everything to me. So I really can thank him for me being a Seminole. I'll start off with saying that. So go Noles. But really, there's a lot of other things too. I mean, he always kept people on track. If you were having a rough day, if there was something going on, he was that type of person. He could just do a certain laugh. He could look at you a certain way. He could always bring the happy side of you out if you were having a rough day. And those are things that not a lot of people can do. And he was really good at that stuff. It's a little harder than I thought, but he got me to move to Florida. When I moved down here with him, this was the big city to me. He explained, it's easy to go the wrong way. It's easy to follow the wrong crowd. It was always like he was the older, so he was teaching me things, things that have stayed with me throughout my life now, and I first met him in Maine. We were at Kate Wrigley had came across the street one night. She said, "Hey, I want to take you to a youth event, and we can go. I want to introduce you to so many people and all this and that." And it was something that I wasn't into at that time. I just didn't really. That wasn't for me or whatever. But when I got introduced to Spencer and the group, Ryan, all the friends that we had there, it became like a family. With saying that, everything that he would do kept me there. Mr. Galloway, he baptized me. Spencer was there. Katie was there. All the people that were closest to me were there at that time. It just meant the world. Those are things that stick with me. When I think of Spencer, I think of that smile. I think of all the fun things that we did together, and some of the other learning curve things that we did together also. But with that said, I miss him dearly. I enjoyed watching all the videos of him and his kids. He was a great father. Out of everything else, he was a great dad. He loved his kids. I didn't get to see him a lot when he went to Colorado, but he was a good dad. He was a real good dad. And actually, there's a verse that I'd like to read, and it kind of hit me a little bit, so I think it's important I share it. It's Romans 14:8. If we live for the Lord. And if we die for the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. And what this means to me is the day I was saved, I was saved, and it was because of friends. It was because of Spencer and things like that. Spencer lived his life for the Lord. I can tell you that hands down. There was things that I used to say and do. He'd give you that certain look. I just knew the right way. And Spencer would guide you through certain things. He was a great role model growing up. I enjoyed being with him. I'm going to miss Spence a lot. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him a lot. Oh, hey, there's a lot of things that I wish I could have said to him. But now I know his pain and suffering's done. He's in a better place. He's with the Lord. The verse I just read is a prime example of how he shared his faith, how he reached out to other people. He loved church families. He's just a people person. So when you're around somebody like that, it makes it easier for you, even without, with your comfort zones being different. He always made you feel important. Um, so with all with everything that I said, I want people to realize that he was a great guy, and he's gonna be forever missed a lot. Um, this is tough for me right now. I'm having a hard time. I've forgot half of what I wanted to say, but what's important is I'm saying what I'm saying now, and I'm gonna miss him. I love his family like they're my family. Thanks.
89 cents in the ashtray, half empty bottle of Gatorade rolling in the floorboard. That dirty Braves cap on the dash, dog tags hanging from the rear view, old skull can and cowboy boots, and a gold army shirt folded in the back. This thing burns gas like crazy, but that's alright. People got their ways of coping, oh, and I got mine. I drive your truck, I roll every window down, and I burn up every back road in this town. I find a field, I tear it up till all the pain's a cloud of dust. Yeah, sometimes I drive your truck. I leave that radio playing, same old country station where you left it. Yeah, man, I crank it up, and you'd probably punch my arm right now if you saw this tear rolling down on my face. Hey man, I'm trying to be tough, and Mama asked me this morning if I'd been by your grave, but that flag and stone ain't where I feel you anyway. I drive your truck, drive your truck. I've cussed, I prayed, I've said goodbye, shook my fist and asked God why. These days when I'm missing you this much, I drive your truck, I roll every window down, and I burn up every back road in this town. I find a field, I tear it up till all the pain's a cloud of dust. Yeah, sometime, brother, sometime I drive your truck. I drive your truck. I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind. I drive your truck.
Well, hi, my name is Dan, and I'm a good friend of Spencer's. Very, very sorry to hear of him leaving us, but just want to right now think about all the good stuff about Spencer that I remember. want to share this time with you where we once went skiing together. I had known Spencer for a few years, but this was the trip that really got us to spend a good day together, just hanging out. We went skiing out of Monarch Mountain, and Spencer is like, man, I don't know, I could go skiing, man. Yeah, shoot, man, let's do that. In his Spencer way, and I go, well, yeah, cool, man, thanks. And so I didn't know that he'd only gone like one time, and it was a while ago. And so we get all the way up to the top of this mountain, and we start going down. And I take off, and I turn around, and I look back, and I just see Spencer just flopping down, just tearing up the mountainside, and just laughing. Man, we just laughed like crazy. And he goes, man, just do it, man. Don't be a wussy. And it was just fun. He's just a full of life person. He just was fearless. He barreled through life. He would barrel through life with the sun on his face, the wind in his hair. Just really was a great guy to be around. You always had fun when you were with Spencer. He always made sure you would have fun when you're around him. And if there was no fun, he'd tell you a story about a time that was fun. Just the time we got to spend with him and his boys. My son was good friends with his son. He just really was a great man that left behind great people, great children, and a great legacy. He was a great businessman. He worked hard. I have nothing but love and respect for you, Spence. I'll always remember you the way you really were. I'll always remember the memories you gave to me. The charity, took us out to lunch one time. Didn't ask for nothing, would take care of you. So God bless you, Spencer. God bless your family. We're thinking of you. We're praying for you.
Spencer has truly been one of my best friends since I met him about 7 years ago. We have shared many experiences, events like a Nuggets game, many golf outings, 2 church small groups, and much more. And I'm going to truly miss that Southern accent, that contagious smile, the love he had for his boys, and his ability to understand my worst jokes and then come around and surprise me with an even worse one, among many other things. Spencer was simply an amazing man, and I will absolutely remember him for the rest of my life. Rest in peace, brother. You will be missed.
My name is Sebastian, and I met the Galloways one snowy cold night in November, where I used to work at the Olive Garden. They had come in to get something to eat, and Blaine and William were sitting in one booth, and Spencer and Wesleyan and Nikki and Dave and Dustin were sitting in another. And we had this whole speech, and so I proceeded to tell them, my speech of, would you like some wine, da-da-da. Well, when I got to where, Spencer and everyone else was, I said, hi, welcome to the Olive Garden. My name is Sebastian. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Would you like a glass of wine, something from the bar, perhaps? And Wesleyan spoke up and said, did you say your name is Smash? And I said, no, my name is... And before I could even speak, Spencer said, Smash is a cool name. So I stepped back, and then I stepped forward again, and I said, hi, welcome to Olive Garden. My name is Smash. The cheers went up, and that was the beginning of a huge, wonderful section of my tapestry to be colored in. When I got to church, Spencer was the first one there and said, Smash, you made it. There was actually, in the 4 to 5 years I served at Living Water Community Church, there was actually people who thought my mother named me Smash. He would call me Smash Daddy. We had many great adventures. I just learned so much from him. We did a mission trip to the Bronx one time, and he would talk to anybody. He would say hi to anybody. He would, no matter who they were, what they were, where they were sitting, always positive, always outgoing, always, just warm and friendly. But I remember talks. I remember him being passionate. you know, he would do this thing where he's like, "Oh, smash," and he'd roll his eyes up. Dinners with him were always great. So I would say thank you, Spencer. Thank you for making my tapestry of my life filled with color and beauty and memories that I will have a lifetime.
Hey guys, it's an honor to be here and talk about Spencer. The first time I met Spencer, I realized there was something special about this kid. You know, William, his dad, and I were going to seminary together, and I remember we were taking William home for some reason, and we went inside just to kind of say hello and meet the family. And man, those kids, Wesleyan and Spencer both, just full of life and energy and love, and it was just unique. I remember leaving there going, man, what a special family, what a special group of people, and just really came to be cemented in my mind just how special Spencer was. Several years later, when William and Melaine and Wesleyan and Spence had moved to Waterville to plant that church, and they invited us to bring a youth group up to do a mission trip, to do a plant up there. And they were kind of on the tail end of their time in Waterville, so the church was pretty well established, but it was an opportunity, so we decided we would go up there, and we went up there, and by that time, the Galloways had actually moved to Tallahassee, so Spencer and Wesleyan actually went back up there with us. But just to see the way that church rallied around Spencer, how they loved him, how he was so much a part of that community. The whole church was really kind of centered around that youth ministry. And I could tell Spencer was such a huge part of that. Everywhere as we went around town doing different ministries and things, everybody knew and loved Spencer. There was just such an energy and a love that was a part of that group, and Spencer was such a huge part of that. I remember, leaving that experience thinking, man, no wonder William is such a blessed, successful church planner, because he's got such wonderful kids, because Spencer and Wesleyan were just so amazing. You could just have the whole church rallied around their energy and their love and their joy and their love for God. So, it's kind of, I don't know if ironic's the right word or what the right word is, but it's kind of a bittersweet moment now, even now, to see how Spencer and the love that people have for him is once again bringing people back together. It's reminding people of what matters, what's important. It's bringing people back to Jesus. So even in this moment of just kind of grief and sadness, and we're all kind of wrestling through this, kind of a joyous part of that, kind of a part of that brings me contentment, is hearing stories from Melaine and William about people coming back to Jesus as they thought about Spencer and his life and the influence that he had on them. So what a wonderful person Spencer is. I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for his testimony and his obvious love for God and the influence that had on so many people in Maine and all the other places he's been. So God bless you. We're praying for all of you guys. We love you, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
I'm not usually one for touchy-feely posts, but I was feeling it this morning. Regardless of corona quarantining, needing to think of creative substitute for toilet paper, or all the other individual difficulties, hurts, stresses, depressions, fears, unknowns, or unchangeable circumstances that each of us as human beings have to manage, battle, or face in life, I know one thing myself this morning. It's going to be a beautiful day in Colorado Springs. I hope everyone has a great day and enjoys the simple and often overlooked blessings we all have in life today. Here's to a good Monday, friends.
The Galloways have asked me to make a quick video about some memories that I have with Spencer, or about Spencer, and I think the hardest part was starting this video, because when it comes to Spencer, where can you start? He could light up a room. He always had to be the center of attention, and he was good at it. Once he achieved that, he was very, very good at it. No matter where you went, no matter where you go, Spencer could make a friend from anywhere from Martin's to a gala. he would make a friend everywhere he went. The Galloways on the weekends would often hand us cash to get us out of the house. So we'd either go to the movies, or we would go to a place called, I think it was called North Park or First Park in Augusta, Maine. And at that time it was like an arcade, and it had also movies and different things that you could do. And we used to go there quite often on the weekends to go just hang out and play games and laugh. And because that was what we were always doing. And I remember one time William had handed us a bunch of money to just say, okay, go get it, go get it out of your system, go find something to do, get out of our hair for a little bit so we can think. And we headed to our typical place, First Park, and instead of buying food there, we'd usually go to Taco Bell, which was disgusting, but that was our favorite go-to. And when we were on our way in, there was a guy outside that you could tell very clearly, had no money or anything like that. And Spencer just, without saying a word, walked up to him and handed him over half of our cash. And that was what he was like. He was spontaneous. He was hilarious. He would push us to our limits sometimes, get us really close to getting in big trouble. But then he had the most compassionate, kind, giving heart of just about anyone I've ever met. I've compiled a few pictures that brought on some really funny memories. This one, here he is at my mom's house. He decided to ride Dustin like a horse, just randomly. This one, he told me to get my camera ready because he was going to harass Wesson like he always did, which was his favorite entire thing to do in the world. And he jumped on her back and was pulling her back hair because she hated that and was insecure that she had back hair, but she didn't. But of course he was going to make a big deal out of it because that's what he did. He used to, when we were dating, we were just babies, so it's kind of silly to say, but he used to save up his lunch money so that he could buy me flowers weekly. I would beg him to stop doing that. I'd beg him to use his lunch money for lunch. But no, every week he would save his lunch money, buy me flowers, and have them sent to me. This is just one of them. I have pictures of so many different arrangements. He was constantly going over and above to just be kind to those that he cared about. Those that he really cared about got really teased constantly. One time we went to Friendly's and we were getting ready to leave, and if we were in his white, what was it, a Galant Mitsubishi? And Wesleyan was coming running because she had stayed back to talk to someone or finish a conversation. And he began to, peel out pretty much so that she couldn't get in the car. And then he'd slow down so that he'd lead her to believe she was going to jump in. And she'd go to get in, he'd take off again. And that went on for a good 15, 20 minutes before she finally hung her head and was just ready to walk home. And he let her, finally stopped and let her in the car. But yeah, it was constant laughter and constant Wesleyan harassment. Another time we had gone out to dinner, and it was one of the nights we used to just dress up randomly and go out to really nice restaurants or find something fun to do. And this time we'd gone to a place in Skowhegan, Maine, where they did plays all the time. And they also were attached to like a restaurant that was really fancy. And Wesleyan, we had some strawberries on the table at the end of the meal. And Wesleyan had said, feed each other a strawberry really sweetly, really romantically, and I'll get a picture of it. Well, Spencer decided it was a perfect opportunity to instead bite my fingers. And yeah, that got our entire table laughing. And while we were laughing, this older gentleman came up to our table. I think I have a picture of him too somewhere. Came up to our table and said that because of the joy we brought to that room and that restaurant that night, he wanted to pay for our meal. And he did. He paid for the entire evening. And that was Spencer's infectious joy. Everywhere we went, we made friends and laughed the entire time. But I think my takeaway and my happiest memories were Spencer's giving heart and his kindness and his passion. He was so passionate about everything he did and everyone he loved. He would have done anything for them. Yeah, he was happy all the time. And just, if someone was unhappy, it's like he could sense it. He could sense it, he could seek it out, and he would do whatever it took to cheer them up or make them laugh. And whether that meant performing some of his famous shenanigans or not, he was just continually being a joy everywhere he went.
I remember my time with Spencer, going up to the mountains and going on a snowboard trip together, playing golf, going out to lunch, taking a break from our busy work days. I remember the time he helped us move and was the only one of our friends that helped us move in a difficult time. I remember the other time we were still in the process of moving and he lent me his truck. I met him at his office and let me borrow his truck for however long I needed, and was always there to lend a hand, always there to make a joke and make you smile. You're going to be missed, and you definitely know you were loved.
When I met Spencer, I was probably in the 4th grade, I think, and I instantly became part of their family. Spencer was an awesome human. I love most about him his humor and his love for others. I have many memories of Spencer. I spent several summers in Maine with the family, and I remember just driving around town in the summer with the windows down, singing at the top of our lungs. I remember us watching SNL skits and memorizing them to the best of our abilities because we just thought they were the funniest things, which they were. I remember one summer it was so hot and the Galloways didn't have air conditioning because it was Maine and it doesn't typically get that hot, but this Florida girl brought the heat with her, and Spencer was so stinking hot, he opened up the refrigerator, laid inside of it, and put Miss Galloway's facial ice packs all over his face just to cool off. Spencer was a hard worker. I remember when we would set up and tear down during their time in Maine at the church that they were having. He worked hard and he didn't complain. I will remember Spencer's love for others and his family the most. He was very caring, very tenderhearted, and I am thankful that I knew him and that I have so many memories of him. He was an awesome human.
Just some thoughts about Spencer during his time in the youth group, and on so many trips and activities, Spencer would be telling stories, goofing around, carrying on, and it's sort of like a parent when your child does something foolish and you're doing your best not to laugh about what he was doing, and at the same time dealing with the stupidity of whatever it was he was doing, like jumping out of the van wanting to go up to a moose on a back road on a camping trip. I remember the time he sprayed bug spray and got it in Westland's eyes. And not only were at that moment, then we hear Mullane holler, "Spencer!" and took him out behind the pavilion to address the issue. But it was always a joy with Spencer around because he'd certainly keep things light and always joking around or calling somebody by whatever name he thought of. And I still hear him all the time saying to Victor, "Hey, Sugar Bear." Again, just it was a joy to have him in the youth group. Loved him and had a lot of fun with Spencer on a lot of different activities.
It's perfect outside, it's like God let me dial up the weather. Got the whole crew here, I ain't seen some of them in forever. It's one of those never forget it, better stop and take it in kind of scenes. Everything's just right, yeah, except for one thing. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers. Hey y'all, it's sure been a good year. It's one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. You should be here. You'd be taking way too many pictures on your phone, showing them off to everybody that you know back home, and even some you don't. Yeah, they say now you're in a better place, and I would be too if I could see your face. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers. Hey y'all, it's sure been a good year. It's one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. Oh, you should be here, you'd be loving this, you'd be freaking out, you'd be smiling. Yeah, I know you'd be all about what's going on right here, right now. God, I wish somehow you could be here. Oh, you should be here. Yeah, this is one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. Oh, you should be here. You should be here.
Hey guys, for y'all that don't know me, my name's Chris Mustaine. I've been a friend and family to Spencer for some time now, since high school. And after we became friends, a little quick story, Spencer gave me a nickname with my last name being Mustaine. He used to call me Musty. And I can hear him up there now saying, "Oh, Musty." And I wasn't really sure if he was my friend or not, or he just liked calling me Old Musty. Old Musty's gonna say a couple things about Spencer. Like I said, Spencer and I, we met in high school, and I kind of always set the bar pretty high for being a class clown and goofing off and carrying on and whatnot. And shortly thereafter, Spencer came, and there was definitely a new sheriff in town. That bar was set quite a bit higher. And with that being said, it's just, I think Spencer, that's what he loved. He loved to laugh. He loved to see other people laugh. He carried so much love in his heart for people and making sure everybody else was okay. And he knew that if you had a smile on your face, whatever problems that you had going on in your life, you weren't worried about them at the moment. And you could walk into a room and you could be down in the dumps. It didn't matter. Spencer would find a way, whether you're a woman, child, it didn't matter your age, if you were on the basketball court, football field, baseball field, you can you're going to get a smile from Spencer. And I think that's just what he loved and he sought out for, that he just wanted to make sure to let people know and feel that type of love that he carried. And I think it's important that we remember that about him. That no matter what problems that he had going in life, you could always call Spencer. He would stop what he was doing. He might listen to you for a little bit, but he's going to find a way to make you laugh and get your mind off that problem. And like I said, it didn't matter who it was. That was just Spencer. He carried and wanted us to feel important and feel cared about, like we had somebody. And I think that's important with him, carrying that type of love. I like to read a little scripture to you. It's Corinthians 13:4-8. It says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in the evil, but rejoices with the truth. I think Spencer knew that, and Spencer tried to show the rest of us that. Spencer knew that God loved us, and Spencer loved God. And Spencer knew the type of love that God has for all of us. And I think Spencer did a very fine job trying to mimic that love, to show us that even through tough times, bad times, God still loves you. And so did Spencer. I love y'all. Y'all take care. And I know Spencer loved y'all.
Spencer Galloway. I'll always remember him as a high schooler with a football jersey, standing in the middle of a crowd, reenacting some goofy scene. And one particular that stands out, he was talking about some kid that was in the gym with them, and he was either drinking like a protein shake, or he was working out, and like and he rips one, you know, and turns around and goes, "Protein facts." but to see Spencer reenact it was something that stuck with me, and I always see him with his grin turned up in the edges of his smile. And I'll always remember him that way. I always see that in his voice. We love you, Spencer.
You know, when I was asked to do a video of Spencer and some of my memories of Spencer, some fun stories, I don't know if I could remember one particular story, but I know I thought a lot about what to say. I think, like everyone, I was in such a shock when I heard the news. But, you know, I got a chance to get to know Spencer very well over the last 7 years. And we played a lot of sports together. Golf, of course, he loved to play. We watched football together. I'm a Notre Dame fan. He's a Florida State fan. And texted him a lot when I was at Notre Dame watching them beat the Seminoles. But one of my greatest memories of Spencer, he wasn't a bad golfer. Tennis was something he was just really getting into when I met him. And I played tennis in high school. And it was kind of always funny to play against him and do this with him, because quite honestly, he hit the ball hard and he had a great attitude. And no matter how bad I would beat him, he would always just kind of look at me and say, "Next time I'm gonna get you." And the next time we'd play, and maybe he'd get a game, and he just would look at me and he'd say, "Next time I'm gonna get you, cuz." it was just something that I really will always remember of him, is his positive attitude towards the fact that he was going to get better. And then he played a few times against other people to prepare for me. The next time we played him, he got 3 games. And he was just so excited. He said, it's only a matter of time. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you, Chris. And it's just his attitude towards things, no matter how things were going, no matter how bad he'd get beat, he had that competitive fire and just that, oh, next time I'm going to get you. Even in golf, no matter how bad he was losing, it was always that next hole. I'm going to get you the next hole, though. And when he got me on a hole or two, he would just look at me and he'd say, told you I was gonna win. Told you I was gonna get you. And those are the things I'm gonna remember best about him and most. He just had this smile and this laugh, and you could hear him across the golf course, even if he wasn't talking to you. He made sure you knew where he was, and he just was so much fun to be around, and he just had such a spirit that we all loved. And whether it be going to a baseball game with him or sitting in a church group, which is where I had the fortune to meet him, was in a small group, and when Cole was probably about a year old, and he just always had this energy about him and this love of God, and he was very passionate about everything. And I will always love him for that, and he is going to be greatly missed. I know by myself, by my wife, and we just are praying for everyone, and we know he's with God now. So take care.
Hey, this is Justin up in Maine. I just wanted to share a story about Spencer. But start off by saying, Spencer was a great guy, a true friend. He was wicked genuine, wicked funny, wicked loud. So here's my story about Spencer. Back in the day, high school years, we all went paintballing with a whole group of people. Me and Spencer were on the same team. We were both in a bunker. Shots are fired. I run to another bunker. Spencer's staying put. He's shooting. Well, all of a sudden, I run back to the same bunker that me and Spencer were in. And lo and behold, he turns around, fires, lights me right up. And, of course, he hits me in the junk. I fall to my knees. Just, Spencer, you shot me in the junk. That was probably one of the funnest, laughable times with Spencer, shooting his own team. I'm going to remember Spencer forever. Rest in peace, Spence.
Daniel and his friends were tested another 2 times in the next 2 chapters, and Spencer's going to take over on the second test. Oh, Mike. Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna be Alright, I'm gonna be talking about Daniel. I'm in Daniel chapter 2. He was in 1. Just to give you a little background. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, at this time, had been having these bad dreams at night, and he couldn't figure out what they meant, and it was really getting him angry, and he couldn't sleep, and it started worrying him. So he had all these boys, all these guys that trained from there when they were boys, which included Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel. He had them all brought up and to him, and he wanted him to interpret what the dream meant and tell him what it meant so he could rest. And, but Nebuchadnezzar was smarter than most people. He left out the key parts of the dream, and wanted them to tell him what the dream was and what it meant, so that they couldn't pretend like they knew what it meant or lie just to save their lives or whatever. Of course, none of them could do it. And so it got Nebuchadnezzar really mad. He was one of those, he was hot-tempered. He'd be one of those guys in a
anger management class or something for them. Nobody could get the dream, so he just ordered all the wise men to be killed. He says at the end of verse 24 in chapter 2, this is Daniel talking to the guy that's supposed to execute him. Do not execute the wise men of Babylon. Take me to the king, and I will interpret his dream for him. So they brought him over to Nebuchadnezzar. And the king asked, it says in verse 26, the king asked Daniel, are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it? Daniel replied, no wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain to the king the mystery he has asked about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. Right there in the beginning, he told Nebuchadnezzar that it wasn't anything Daniel was doing, it was what God was doing. Then he goes on, he explains the dream and what it means. Nebuchadnezzar's amazed, and he's happy, and he's rejoicing. And then when he's done explaining the dream down in 37, he says, you, O king, are the king of kings. The God of heaven has given you dominion and power and might and glory. So there, when he finishes interpreting the dream, he tells Nebuchadnezzar the only reason he is king is because God's allowed him to be, and God's placed him there. And that took guts, and that took faith, because no one Nebuchadnezzar could have, right there. He keeps turning attention from Daniel to God. In 44, he says, in the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom. And toward the end of 45, he says, the great God has shown the king what will take place in the future. The dream is true and the interpretation is trustworthy. I just thought it was awesome that he kept telling Nebuchadnezzar that God was something. He wasn't anything. Well, to turn it to like a more nowadays thing, like, as an example, just say that you're a youth or you're someone in school and you've got a big test coming up at the end of the week, so you're studying all week, and you ask God and ask Him to help you remember what to study and the right things to study and stuff to remember. You pray and ask for His help. The results come in for the test and you do pretty well. You're looking, yeah, that's a nice grade, You're happy about it. You look over, someone's got a B-, and yeah, you're stupid, I'm smart. And you're waving your grade around the class, or you're saying, thank you, Lord, for helping me to understand this and get the text right. Or for like adults, say you closed a deal or you got a promotion, or you're standing around going, hiking up the pants, poking your chest out like a peacock. Yeah, Big Daddy deserved that one, didn't he? Oh yeah, who's that? Going around, hey, secretary, or people congratulating you. Thanks, man. God really helped me in that situation. He helped me understand what to do. The point I'm trying to get across is, when your witness passes the test, God blesses and promotes. I just want to make sure it got up there. Down in 48, there's proof of that. Verse 48, chapter 2, it says, then the king placed Daniel in a high position and lavished many gifts on him. He made him ruler over the entire province of Babylon and placed him in charge of all its wise men. Moreover, at Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, his 3 buddies, administrators over the province of Babylon, while Daniel himself remained at the royal court. So, basically, in closing, if your witness stays true and firm, God will bless and help you out in the long run. And now Sean's going to come up and talk about the third point.
William Westlin. I'm so sorry to hear about Spencer. He holds such a special place in my heart. He and your family gave me so much love, and I will never forget that. I love that Spencer never cared what anyone thought of him, and he was so confident and unashamed to be himself. He was very kind and generous, and I know that's because of who raised him. He never spoke badly about anyone, and he was such a fun person. He was genuine and always said whatever was on his heart and mind. I know the pain of losing him must be unbearable. Leaving behind a family and being so young is so unbelievably sad. Your family is so beautifully close, and I can only imagine how hard this must be. I was thinking about a memory to share with you guys, and one from an FCA retreat was laid on my heart. The speaker was preaching and shared the gospel, included the verse, godly grief produces a repentance that leads to salvation without regret, whereas worldly grief produces death. 2 Corinthians 7:10. After the message that night, Spencer got kind of serious, and he told me that he thought he believed in Jesus before, but had never felt godly sorrow. That night, he felt the weight of sin and recommitted his life to the Lord. It was pretty sweet to have witnessed, and I still think of that when I read that verse. I wish I could be there with you guys right now and give you a big hug and tell you how amazing he was. Love you guys. Hey guys. I wanted to share a couple funny stories in case your heart needs that right now. I have a feeling that Spencer used to tell this story because he told it a lot after it happened. So maybe this is a story you guys already remember, but he had to give a speech for like speech class in college, and I guess it was like a how to do something speech, and he was gonna do how to pitch a tent, and somewhere along the way he got a little flustered in giving his speech, and instead of saying pitching a tent the whole speech, all he could get out was pinch a tit. So, and I guess he couldn't come back from it, and he kept saying pinch a tit, pinch a tit. I thought that was a funny short story to share.
All right, you're gonna have to bear with me since I have to sit in the truck to do this to get quiet. Funny Spencer stories. There's lots of them. He was always the class clown, always could lighten up any kind of situation. So we did a lot of trips together with the Galloways and with Spencer, and the best one was our New York trip. We went to New York City, and all of us older kids rode in one vehicle. Me, Dan, my brother Chris, and Wesley and Spencer. And on our way there, we were following the adults. Well, William and his, wonderful list decided to take an exit really quick. We couldn't make the exit. So we ended up staying on the highway and getting off somewhere else. Well, we ended up in the Bronx. Me and my brother had been there before, knew just get our way out. Don't stop, don't ask for our directions, nothing. Well, Spencer, in his usual form of not having any fear whatsoever of anybody, decided that we need to stop and we need to ask these gangsters, pretty much, for directions. Yeah, no. My brother, his self, was like, no way, we're not stopping, we're not asking. My brother was the one driving, and said, no, Spencer, this is a really bad idea. We're not going to ask directions. We'll make it there. Well, Spencer was trying to roll down the windows and hang out the windows, asking anybody in sight for directions. And I can just see my brother's face now of, oh my goodness, we're going to die. So we ended up having to lock the windows so that Spencer couldn't be hanging out them anymore, asking for directions. That trip was pretty hysterical, because that was also the same trip that was during New Year's, and we went to New York City, and we stayed right in there. And on New Year's Eve, we were walking around, and Spencer just kept going with the crowd as William was yelling to him, "Stop, stop, we can't catch up with you. You need to slow down, we're going to lose you." Before we knew it, Spencer had pretty much hopped one of the gates, and there's this like corral set up, and we ended up in the backside of Times Square to watch the ball drop. And we had said, well, Spencer's in there, like, he's part of our party, so they let us all in. So ended up being that us kids stayed there and watched the ball drop, and Spencer became friends with everybody around us. He had also started making friends with the cops around us and asked about getting pizza and soda delivered to us. They made it clear, no, you're not going to have anything delivered in here. We can't even get stuff for us. Like, it's not going to happen. There's no way that, your father could get close enough to us because the parents had gone out to eat and stuff. There's no way you could get pizza delivered. Before we knew it, we had pizza and soda delivered. Yeah. So it was pretty entertaining, to say the least, and some really, really good memories. And these are the ones that keep sticking with me the most, is the fun and the excitement and the carefree. And those are the ones I wanted to share. Thanks.
Just before Spencer started his career in insurance, he came to Florida to shadow me for a week. And from that point on, Spencer actually was the one that's taught me several lessons. And today I'm even learning from him right now. To this day, I still have people in Florida that ask me about Spencer, even though he only met them during this 1 week trip to Florida to see if he really wanted to be an insurance agent. Spencer taught me to make people remember you. Spencer's life, or zest for life, was contagious, and that drew people to him. And I asked both of my sons to tell me what they remembered about Spencer. One son said Spencer was super friendly, and the other son said Spencer was fun. And those are two great traits to be remembered by. Spencer taught me how to dream, but not just to dream, but more importantly to do. And even more importantly than doing, to win. He showed me a fearless spirit. I remember being in Maine with him, and he had this just tremendous attitude of tenacity. He persisted even when the odds were against him. And when he was a new insurance agent, Spencer was not scared to go against the most veteran producers. He wasn't scared to tackle a large account, even though he didn't have the experience that most people would think was necessary. And time again, Spencer won the account. Spencer was a winner. Spencer had a way of winning the hearts of the people once they got to know him, and it didn't take long to get to know Spencer, because Spencer knew how to connect to people and with people. And that's a true gift from God. Spencer also taught me about being genuine. Spencer was real. What you saw was what he was. Spencer showed me why people could remember him after just one short meeting. Spencer cared, and you knew he cared. Spencer loved people, and people loved Spencer. Thanks, Spencer, for the pleasure of having you invest in my life. I will always be grateful to you, Spencer, for showing me the importance of being genuine, for showing me how to be fearless, for showing me how to win, and most importantly, win the hearts of people. 1 John 4 personifies Spencer's life. Let us love one another, for love comes from God, and everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God.
Why? I shall know why when time is over, and I have ceased to wonder why. Christ shall explain each separate anguish in the fair schoolroom of the sky.
Spencer and I became very close friends over the last couple of months. We knew each other in Maine about 15 years ago, and God placed us both in Colorado Springs, only to reconnect once again. Spencer had one of the biggest hearts I know. Always willing to be there and never without a smile. A smile I will forever miss. He had the gift to gab and without a doubt knew everything there was to know about sports. A few weeks back we were being silly, seeing who could hold a handstand the longest. Of course I wasn't succeeding, so he grabbed a pillow and laid it up against a wall for me to find my balance. First attempt, up I went as we heard a noise. I came back down to notice an imprint in his living room wall. We laughed and laughed as I told him he either had soft walls or I had buns of steel. We agreed upon the latter. Just a simple example of the fun, light-hearted man that Spencer was. I'll miss our fun Spence, our conversations, and the person who so quickly found a place into my heart. You were an amazing dad, friend, and man. I don't know why we were brought back together again, but I do know I will forever cherish our friendship and the fun times we shared. I hope you're resting in paradise, my friend. I love you and I'll see you again. Keep smiling.
When I think about Spencer, I can't help from smiling. He was carefree and full of joy, and I can't remember a time that I was with him that I wasn't laughing about something. He was also infectiously adventurous, and he had that mischievous sparkle in his eye. Whenever I would go to visit, we would go explore the quarry behind his house, or whenever he would visit me, we would explore the woods behind the house and that dirt road behind there. And in fact, he was the first person to find the old cemetery behind my house, which we later used to spook all our friends. He was an honest person. Some would say unfiltered, but that was the quality I loved about him. He never hesitated to tell you the truth about something if you asked his opinion. And me being a creative person, I always had a lot of ideas, and he always had a lot of ways to tell me those were bad ideas, or I needed to work on them some more before I went public with him, so to speak. His honesty did get him in trouble a couple times, which, I mean, is fair. I remember this one time in Dayspring at lunch, they had this thing they were making us do where sometimes, like, the older kids would have to sit with some of the younger kids. I don't know if it would, why now, but anyway, so he was sitting in front of the kid, across the table from a kid, and the kid had just finished eating his cupcake, and he had frosting on his nose, and so Spencer laughed and told him he had something on his face, which, of course, made the kid cry for some reason, and the teachers didn't like that, so we ended up getting in-school suspension or something, but his honesty is something I cherish, and a quality that I adopted for myself because of him, and it's become a large part of who I am today. He was my best friend and a huge blessing. And if you ever met him, you know him. He's a very unique individual that once you met him, you'd never forget him.
Just want to say Spencer Galloway was just a great guy. You know, just one of the funniest guys I knew. He had a sense of humor that was just so infectious. Every time you're around him, he would just come out with the funniest things. And I remember one time I was visiting him, and we went up to Pikes Peak in Colorado, and we were driving up, and the guy was a madman driving his truck, making these sharp turns very quickly. I'm like, Spencer, slow down. He lived life, to the fullest. And that's one thing I remember about Spencer. And I'm just going to miss him a lot. And Spencer knew the Lord. And I'm just so thankful that this is not goodbye, but it's going to be a time to see him again soon. But even though we miss him right now, just knowing Spencer is going to be with us when we celebrate in heaven someday. So love to the Galloway family. We love you. We're praying for you. And we just love you today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeff Schmidt. I'm a State Farm insurance agent, and I have known Spencer for 7+ years. You know, the whole time he was a State Farm agent, and even through his internship and training to become an agent, him and I kind of had a connection from the beginning, and kind of started through college football. I'm a big Oklahoma fan, love my Sooners, and he's a Florida State fan, so it hurts me to wear this hat to honor him, but I will take one for the team. So anyway, you know, I just want to touch on Spencer as a person. Spencer had a huge heart. Was always in a conversation, and you know, and you just never knew when he was going to say something very unique, something interesting. I mean, everyone can probably attest to that. But one conversation in particular that I had with him just a couple months ago, he opened up and he vented about some things, and you know, he said, you know, Jeff, I may be struggling with a lot of things right now, but I know I'm a really good dad, and my boys are my life, and that is stuck to me like glue. And that comment was truly who Spencer was. He loved his boys, and you know, that's probably really tough to hear today, and it hurts to say it, but Spencer was loved by a lot of people. He had a lot of friends. His family loved him big, and you know, Spencer, you will be missed by a lot of people, and I just, you know, God bless everybody. Bye.
I'm confident that Spencer really is with the Lord. It's a difficult thing, but having the hope to know that I'm going to be able to see him again, and that's something I am very thankful for, because I know that it's far from everybody. But yeah, I love Spencer. He's a great friend, fun guy, good guy to be around, and I will see him again. All right, thanks.
Growing up, you meet people along the way who change you, help you mature, teach you, guide you, and make you a better person. I was struggling during some of my teen years, and right when I needed them the most, I met a family who became my second family. When growing up, you also learn about love, and you never forget your first young love. I learned yesterday that my first love was taken too soon. Without this family, without this young love, I would never have become the woman I am today. Thank you, Spencer, for all the memories that I will cherish forever, for all the laughs that brought so much healing, and for being one of the greatest friends that I'll ever have.
Looking back on the memory of the dance we shared beneath the stars above. For a moment, all the world was right. How could I have known that you'd ever say goodbye? And now, glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Holding you, I held everything, and for a moment wasn't I the king? But if I'd only known how the king would fall, yeah, who's to say? You know, I might have changed it all. And now, glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. Yes, my life is better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance.